is what she has gone in that line, but anybody else has a different definition, you can share. What does victory mean in life? Where do we want to be victorious? Achieving your goals, okay. And what sort of goals? Any goal? Sorry, who's being education or okay, education or getting into a college, and then that's it. Life is you need to have some goals. Okay. Yeah, somebody was saying something here. Go ahead. Go ahead. Get up in the morning. Really? What do you want to do by getting up in the morning? If you have a goal, you'll get up in the morning. That's what you are saying. Okay. The goal should be so lofty and big and inspiring. I should just spring up from the bed in the morning. That's your early morning. I'm just. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Like India whitewashed Bangladesh. Grand. It's and winning is not 100%. Okay. So you are looking for grand one or small win? Both. Okay. Nice. Very nice definition. Anything else? Anybody? So keep it in mind what exactly we want to be victorious in life, or maybe somebody, some of you, maybe you have these things but you didn't share. Maybe you want to become wealthy, you want to become rich, you want to become successful, you want to have good marks, good grades, so that companies notice and take you. All those things are there. We didn't want to say that because it looks cheap, in a temple, when it is asked in a public. But all those things are there. But what exactly we are looking for victory? He said victory over evil, but we don't know what evil is also. Sometimes even evil is so glorified in the society that evil appears good. I mean, Ravana is glorified in many ways, in many places. What does Ramachandra's victory over Ravana signify? How does it relate to me in my life? We will answer this in the next half an hour or so that we have. We have a beautiful verse in front of you. Is it visible at the end? Can you see that? Or should I increase a little more? Better? Okay, repeat after me. Purusho Ramacharitam Shravanairupadharayan Ansramsya Paro Rajan Karma Bandher Vimuchyate Purusho Ramacharitam Shravanairupadharayan Ansramsya Paro Rajan Karma Bandher Vimuchyate Purusho Ramacharitam Shravanairupadharayan Ansramsya Paro Rajan कर्म बंधेर vimuchyate. So we will repeat the word to word meaning. Purushaha, any person. Ramacharitam, the narration concerning the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Ramachandra. Shravanaihi, by oral reception. Upadharayan, simply by this process of hearing. Ansamsya, ansramsya paraha, becomes completely free from envy. Rajan, O King Parikshit, karma bandhaihi, by the bondage of fruitive activities. Vimuchyate, one becomes liberated. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation: O King Parikshit, anyone who orally receives the narrations concerning the characteristics of Lord Ramachandra's pastimes will ultimately be freed from the disease of envy and thus be liberated from the bondage of fruitive activities. Translation with repetition: O King Parikshit, anyone who orally receives the narrations concerning the characteristics of Lord Ramachandra's pastimes will ultimately be freed from the disease of envy and thus be liberated from the bondage of fruitive activities. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Here in this material world, everyone is envious of someone else. Even in religious life, it is sometimes found that if one devotee has advanced in spiritual activities, other devotees are envious of him. Such envious devotees are not completely freed from the bondage of birth and death. As long as one is not completely free from the cause of birth and death, one cannot enter the Sanatana Dham or the eternal pastimes of the Lord. One becomes envious because of being influenced by the designations of the body, but the liberated devotee has nothing to do with the body, and therefore he is completely on the transcendental platform. A devotee is never envious of anyone, even his enemy, because the devotee knows that the Lord is his supreme protector. He thinks, what harm can the so called enemy do? Thus, a devotee is confident about his protection. The Lord says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamyaham. According to the proportion of one's surrender unto me, I respond accordingly. A devotee must therefore be completely free from envy, especially of other devotees. To envy other devotee is a great offense, a Vaishnava aparadh. A devotee who constantly engages in hearing and chanting, Shravana Kirtana, is certainly freed from the disease of envy, and thus he becomes eligible to go back home, back to Godhead. Thus ends the wonderful transcendental Bhakti Vedanta purport. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vranda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So today is not only the auspicious day of Lord Ram's victory over Ravana, which is otherwise known as Vijayotsava, Dasa, Ramachandra, Vijayotsava. It's also the appearance of Madhvacharya. Madhvacharya is one great Vaishnava Acharya who appeared on the Tithi, on the date of Dasara. So the verse that I spoke, we will see it in connection with Madhvacharya's one verse which he quotes, and it is there in Chaitanya Charitamrita. You can repeat this also. Vede Ramayane Chaiva Purane Bharate Tatha Ado Ante Cha Madhye Cha Hari Sarvatra Giyate. This is a verse from Madhvacharya. This is a quotation from Madhvacharya. He says, Vede. So as I said, there will be some quiz. You have to be alert and attentive. How many Vedas are there? Surekha. No. Okay. Really? You can tell the names? Very good. Chaturveda. You know, in India, we have some surnames. Bedi, Dvedi, Trivedi, Chaturvedi. Based on the Vedas that they know, their names are like that. So one Veda means Vedi. Any Dvedi, Vedi, Trivedi here? Chaturvedi? Nobody? Okay, so Rik Veda and Chaturveda. Anybody wants to add any other names? Yajurveda, Samaveda. चलो 5 हो गया. Chaturveda is not right. Rik, Sama, Yajur, Atharva. So Vede, in the Vedas it is mentioned. Where else it is mentioned? Ramayane. Often people don't know what is the meaning of the word Ramayana. Ayana means travel. Like, Uttarayana, Dakshinayana. Today we were chanting the mantras. It is Dakshinayana. The travel of sun towards the southern hemisphere, or the travel of sun towards the northern hemisphere. That is called Uttarayana and Dakshinayana, respectively. Ramayane. So Vede, Ramayane, Chaiva, Purane. Purane, anybody knows what is Purana? Purana is, the literal meaning is ancient, old. It is also the scholars or the Vedic acharyas, they say that Purana also is Purna, which makes it complete. So Vede, Ramayane Chaive, Purane. So Veda, Ramayana, Cha, and etc. Purane, in Purana also. Bharate. Bharate is referring to Mahabharat. So Vede, Ramayane Chaive, Purane, Bharate Tatha. So you think of any Vedic literatures, whether it is Vedas, whether it is Ramayana, whether it is Mahabharat, whether it is Puranas, everywhere. Ado ante cha madhye cha hari sarvatra giyate. Ado at the beginning, the middle, and the end. Ado ante madhye cha hari sarvatra giyate. Hari, the Supreme Lord, Rama or Krishna, Vishnu, sarvatra giyate. Hamesha, always, constantly, everywhere he's sung, he's glorified. This is the essence. And we are coming together on this auspicious day of Dasara, on this auspicious day of Vijayotsava, and we are hearing the glories of Lord Ram. Amazing glories, amazing. And whatever we hear, that is a great pious thing. It's a great pious credit which can help us to overcome this cycle of birth and death, which we just read, the verse that we just read. Verse says, Purusho Ramacharitam Shravane Rupadharayan. Ansramsya paro rajan karma bandher vimuchyate. Purusho Ramacharitam. Oh, Ramacharita. So sweet, so nectarian, so glorious. Purusho Ramacharitam Shravane Upadharayan. When we hear it properly in Parampara, Shravane Upadharayan. Ansramsya is this enviousness. Enviousness in the heart will go. Ansramsya paro rajan karma bandher vimuchyate. And one becomes free from karma bandhan. He becomes free from this karma bandhan. That's the beauty of hearing the pastimes of Lord Ram. What we will do is today, as I said, we don't have a lot of time, but it's a very, very, very focused thing. I want you to go back home with this one understanding. What is it that the Vedic literatures are asking us to become victorious in? What is it? Where should we become victorious? What is it? Where is it that we are getting defeated? And what does really victory mean? He said it is grand win. It might help others. It's just my winning is not just meant for me. I'm more selfless. Maybe others are also getting benefited. But let's hear what the Vedic scriptures are telling. Very powerful. So, what I'll do is I will take you through the descriptions of Bhagavatam, which talks about Ram Leela in 2 chapters. And mind you, Bhagavatam is a wonderful text written by Vedavyas, spoken by Sukadev Goswami, and it it narrates the pastime of Lord Ram in just 2 verses, in 2 chapters, and very, very briefly, very concisely. It's not very big. I'm not going to take you the whole thing, but we will see some few interesting aspects of it. And from there, as I said, no, there will be some quiz for you. We will see. First thing that the Bhagavatam, this begins with the verse in the 9th canto, 10th chapter, first verse. It says, Shri Sukha Vacha, Khatvanga Dirghabhavuscha Raghus Tasmad Prithu Sarvaha Ajastato Maharajas Tasmad Dasaratho Bhavat. Okay, quiz for you first. You can raise hands instead of answering in chorus. Who is the father of Lord Ram? Raise hand. ICVK students are more sharp. You know, we have a young kids classes that we run. They know probably more than all of you. But let's see. No WPI students? Nobody knows who's Lord Ram's father? WPI is a prestige issue. Okay. 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 Who's Dasarath's father? If you feel happy that you answered. So we just read. Don't worry if you don't know. Let's see who's Dasarath's father. It is mentioned here. You see, these are all very interesting. These people are not ordinary people. We are just seeing who is Lord Ram's father, in which dynasty he is coming. Okay. So it goes Khatwanga. First king's name is mentioned is Khatwanga. Khatwanga's son is Dirghabahu. Dirghabahu means whose arms are very long. So it will come, okay? The question will come. Khatwanga, Dirghabahu, and Dirghabahu's son is Raghu. So because of Raghu, Lord Ram's another name is Raghav. Like Yadu, he came in the Yadu dynasty, so he's Yadav. Lord Ram doesn't mind even being called Raghav, so Raghu has to be so special. Khatwangad Dirghabhauscha Raghus Tasmat Prithu Sarvaha Ajastato Maharajas. So after Raghu came Aja, and the son of Aja is Dasarath. Okay, we will not look at this. Khatwanga's son is? Dirghabhahu's son is? Raghu's son is? Really? You're in doubt. Raghu's son is? Aja. Aja's son is? Dasarath. Okay. Khatwanga, Dirghabhahu, Raghav, Raghu, Aja, Dasarath, and Ram. Okay, very good. Now let's hear about Khatwanga. This Khatwanga Maharaj is so powerful. He was so powerful that there was one battle between the demigods and the demons, and Khatwanga Maharaj was asked to help the demigods. These Devatas and the Asuras, they keep fighting for various reasons. Usually the Devatas become victorious, always, usually. But sometimes the demons also become victorious. How? When the demigods or the Devatas, they fall to their lower instincts like lust, greed, insubordination, and things like that, then the Sattva Guna in them reduces. And this will be recognized by the Asuras, and they attack the demigods. And when they attack the demigods get defeated. At those times, even kings from earthly planets, like we saw in this case, Khatwanga, he was invited by the demigods to come and help them in this battle. So this was a profuse battle, and Khatwanga Maharaj fought very valiantly, very valorous king, very, very nicely he fought. And after the battle was over, the demigods were so happy because they became victorious over the demons. So they said, what do you want? Oh, Khatwanga Maharaj, ask what you want. So imagine you go to a restaurant, okay, and the restaurant will have some menu, but it says today's special or something like that. So you see that you ask the waiter and the waiter is showing the menu, but then you also would like to know what's special? What is it that you have? So then he'll say, oh, you want the special? I have got this, something else which is not there in the menu. So like that, this demigod asked, what do you want? So he said, okay, what can you give? He said, apsaras, money, liquor, whatever you want, everything unlimited to the maximum that you want to enjoy your life, everything is available. Here comes the trick, here comes the question. Khatwanga Maharaj asked very important question. How much time do I have? Okay, you are telling me so many things are available for my enjoyment. How much time do I have? And the demigods told, you have few muhurtas. One muhurta or few muhurtas. Immediately he renounced everything, all those things. He came down to this earth and he became, he started meditating, became God conscious, achieved the perfection. So the Khatwanga Maharaj's fame spreaded all over because of this one reason, who gave up this idea of sense gratification, just knowing that only few moments are left, and he came and focused on the Lord's activities and meditated on that and achieved the perfection of human life. In that dynasty, Khatwanga's dynasty, is coming Lord Ram. Is it interesting that we are seeing here? Lord Ram, Dirgabahu, Raghu. Okay, what does the word Dasarath mean? You seem to have some answer. 10 rathas. Literally, that means what you're saying is right, 10 rathas. But Dasarath was so dexterous, was so lightning fast, that when he used to fight, he can fight in 10 directions simultaneously. Means he'll rotate so fast, he'll be so this thing. It appears as if he can fight in 10 directions simultaneously. So this Dasarath, he was also asked by the demigods to help in the fights of demigods and the demons fighting. So the demigods and the demons both get their power by doing austerity. Austerity is one something like an electric energy which can give you cold as well as heat depending upon how you are using. Tapasya is something which is needed if you want to elevate in your life. And they all do. Demigods also do austerity, and even the devatas, they do austerity. And whenever there is a fight, even Dasarath used to be called for helping and taking care of the demigods. Next, so pay attention to this dynasty in which Lord Ram is coming, and pay attention to these questions which people are asking in their dynasty. We saw one question Khatwanga asked, very, very, very profound. Imagine if our situation, if the demigods like Indra and all, they are saying, ask anything, I am ready to give you anything that you want. We will think, Arey, de do, jo dena hai, I want a private island, private jet, I want to do this, I want to do that, all of those things I will ask. But he asked a very pertinent question, how much time do I have? Okay. Then Prabhupada says that being prayed for by the demigods, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth Himself, directly appeared with His expansion and expansions of the expansion. Their holy names were Ram, Lakshman, Bharat, and Satrughna. They celebrated incarnations, thus appeared in 4 forms as the sons of Maharaj Dasarath. So in the purport, Prabhupada writes, Lord Ramachandra and his brothers, Lakshmana, Bharata, Satrughna, are all Vishnu Tattva, not Jiva Tattva. Sometimes people say Lord Ram is Vishnu Tattva, but others are not. But here Prabhupada is clarifying Lord Ramachandra and his brothers, Lakshmana, Bharat, Satrughna, are all Vishnu Tattva, not Jiva Tattva. The Supreme Personality of Godhead expands into many, many forms. Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadi, Anantarupam. Advaitam means Vishnu Tattva. They are not non-dual. Advaitam, they are same. Achyutam, they are infallible. Anadim, there is no beginning. Anantarupam, they are infinite. So they can expand, and they came like Bharat, Ram, Lakshman, Bharat, and Satrughna. Although they are one and the same, Vishnu Tattva has many forms and incarnations. Mind you, sometimes when we hear this pastime of Lord Ram, we think he's an ordinary boy, took birth, had 3 other brothers, went to some, kill the demon called Ravana. Maybe he was there in exile. No, they are Vishnu Tattva. Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadim, Anantarupam. They are not ordinary people. They are Vishnu Tattva, and they come for a purpose to this material world. Interestingly, whose mobile is, please keep it on silent. Then the next thing that, so very interestingly, Lord Ram took birth in a Kshatriya family. Okay. And if you see Dasarath, he had three primary wives. Who are the wives of Dasarath? Jagannath Prabhu. दशरथ के पत्नी के नाम कौशल्या सुमित्रा कैकेयी. He had three wives. These are three prominent primary wives. But apart from that, he had 300 more wives. And he didn't have a son. One may question, what is this obsession with son? Why should one have this kind of an obsession? Was King Dasarath so obsessed to have a king so that he can say prove his virility, or say that I'm such a big king and my this thing I have a son? What was the reason? It's important to understand. Lord Ram took birth in a Kshatriya family. The word kshat. Kshat means loss, or kind of a injury or something like that. We say kshati, lava and kshati, right? So it comes from the same root word. Physically, they are supposed to protect their subject from any kinds of dangers. Mentally, they are supposed to protect their subject from anxieties and tensions and worries. And intellectually, also, they are supposed to protect their subject to help them to inquire about the transcendental things. So that's why they are called kshatriya. A kshatriya is supposed to protect the subject from physical, mental, and intellectual injuries. That is how the spiritual upliftment can happen. So very interestingly, Lord Ram, who took birth as the son of Dasarath had to, one day when he was looking at the mirror, he saw that there were some strands of white hair above his ear. He said, he thought, oh, I'm getting old, I should have some son. And then he did a very elaborate fire sacrifice. And from that came a celestial being who gave this nicely slow cooked rice with condiments like saffron and dry fruits and all, called payasam. And he asked this king to distribute it to his wives. So Dasarath gave it to Kaushalya and Kaikeyi. From Kaushalya, he gave half to Kaushalya, and from Kaushalya came Lord Ram. From Kaikeyi came Bharat, and the remaining, whatever remnants were there, they gave it to Sumitra, and from that came the twins, Lakshmana and Satrughna. Lord Ram and Lakshmana were inseparable, and Bharat and Satrughna were also inseparable. So then they grew up. Very interestingly, there is a scene which comes, where the time runs away. There is a scene which comes where one rishi by name Vishwamitra, who comes to Dasarath. Anybody knows who Vishwamitra is? Any idea? Okay, Srivatsa is nodding. Vishwamitra was a king, but he became a rishi. And when he came to the palace of Ayodhya, Ayodhya means which cannot be conquered, unconquerable, Ayodhya. Immediately, all the soldiers, they brought him to the inner precincts of the palace without any hesitation. Not like somebody who's wearing some saffron clothes, mendicant, lives on some fruits, roots. Why should he be brought inside? No, he was brought inside directly to the inner chambers of the palace. And Dasarath Maharaj, when he saw him, Vishwamitra Muni, he invited him and asked him to sit on his throne. Why did he do that? Is he mad or what? Why should he do this? That why somebody like a Vishwamitra Muni, if he's sitting on the throne, he can say, well, you give me all your treasury, everything. Now I am the king. I have got everything. He can do something like that. No. Vishwamitra Muni, the Dasarath knows that the position of Vishwamitra, he is not hankering after all this material wealth, possessions, power and all. They have got other things that they have conquered, which is far more difficult to conquer. What is that? The inner kingdom, where there are robbers like thoughts, which rob and steal our good thoughts of becoming God conscious. They have conquered over that. This kingdom they have conquered. That is why the kings used to have, very ideal kings, they used to have respect for these sages. They used to make them sit in their throne so that the throne gets purified. And here comes the question. Here comes the tricky part. Here comes the interesting part, or turn, I would say. You know what Dasarath asked Vishwamitra? Is there in this? But do you know what could have asked? Usually when we meet, so like when you meet each other, what do you ask? Kya hal chal hai? Who said? Okay, kya hal chal hai? Or we say, how are you? Isn't it? And what answer you give? I'm fine. Anything else that you say? I'm fine. Sometimes I've heard I'm fine, no problems, isn't it? As if you know that no problems is the characteristics of being fine is if there are no problems. We'll come to this 1 minute, but the question which Dasarath asked to Vishwamitra is very profound, very impactful. What did he ask? He asked, how is your efforts of overcoming this cycle of birth and death going on? Punarjanma Jayaya. Jaya is victory. How are you making progress in overcoming the cycle of birth and death? It is very important to know what question to ask, to whom we are asking, and what is the level of that person, and what sort of questions. Usually we don't know that, so whom to ask what kind of a question. So we use ask, how are you? That's what we keep asking. How are you? How are you is referring to only our bodies. When we are asking a Brahmana, the question should be, how is your progress in conquering over your lower modes? How is it going on? How are you doing in that? Or how are you making progress in achieving the transcendental Brahman? When we are asking a question to a Kshatriya, we should ask, how's your kingdom doing? How are your armies? How are they doing? How is your treasury? When we are asking a Vaishya, we should ask, how's your Krishi, how's your treasury, or how's your farming and so on and so forth, how it is going. These three are the primary things, and these are very important questions for the proper functioning of the society. Whereas, the Sudras and the lower category, they talk on the bodily platform. How are you? And we say, I'm fine, no problems. It is like as if, you are going in a train and the next stoppage which is going to come is another problem junction. But now that you are going, you have overcome one problem and you are going and you are enjoying. It is as if, between these two problems that come, we are enjoying life. Then somebody may question, is there anything wrong? At least I'm enjoying. No. Maybe there is some problem which is coming, which may be guaranteed. Actually, it is a guarantee because the train is going to stop in the next stop, and the next stop is going to be another misery, another problem. Somehow or other, we try to make some patch up and something, and then we move, and we experience in between the gap between these two stations, two stops, as happiness. So one may question, okay, you people talk so much misery, problems and this thing. Don't you go through the problems in life? Don't devotees who take up to this path of Krishna consciousness, are they bereft, exempt from these problems and difficulties in life? No, they're not. But what Prabhupada has told is, this one life you dedicate for the service of the Lord. You will come out of the cycle of birth and death. You will not encounter these problems anymore. Maybe we are experiencing this. But this one life, if you can dedicate to Krishna, dedicate to the service of the Lord, you will come out of the cycle of birth and death. So very interestingly, the question which Dasarath asks to Vishwamitra Muni is that, how are you doing in terms of overcoming your cycle of birth and death? We don't understand this important thing. When we are talking about Lord Ram's victory over Ravana, the Ravana that is there inside us, which makes us forget that we are going to die and we are going to accept another body. And this forgetfulness keeps us entrapped in this material world forever. This makes us completely bewildered. And we keep on doing with our different projects, different assignments, different allurements, and we become completely forgetful of this. If you become completely forgetful of this, what happens? As Lord Ram will say when he encounters Ravana, he'll talk about this, how the battle when it was about to ensue, when it was about to start or begin, the words spoken by Lord Ram are very profound, which is mentioned in Bhagavatam. We will see that. Those words should become a reminder in our life. Oh my God, this human form of life I have gotten after so long, after so many births. But if I don't take care of this victory over cycle of birth and death, this life is useless. It is gone. It's a waste. So what did Lord Ram say? I mean, Lord Ram, when he met Ravana. Okay, by the way, anybody knows what is the meaning of Ravana? What does that mean? He makes other cry. Ravana's principle is, if anything I like, beautiful should be mine, powerful should be mine. If it is others, definitely it should be mine. And that is the mentality of Ravana. Filled with enviousness. There is one mention of one battle, just one characteristic of Ravana. Ravana, imagine we pay taxes, right? All of you, if you start earning, you have to pay taxes. And if a tax collector has come to your house and you have to pay tax to him, so what do? You kill the tax collector, so there is no more paying tax. So one day, what Ravana decided, if Yamaraj is the one who's going to take care of my death, let me fight with Yamaraj. Let me kill him. If Yamaraj is not there, there's no question of dying. So there was a fight. There was a fierce fight which happened. Yamaraj is the embodiment of religious principles, right? And he lives in a planet which is called Aryama. Yama means the don'ts, Niyama means the do's, and Yamaraj is the embodiment of the religious principles. And there was a fight which happened between Ravana and Yamaraj. Ravana was almost about to die. He was semi-conscious. He was lying there, and then still he was making some, pompous this thing that I'm still very powerful. This thing, and seeing this, Yamaraj thought, let me throw a astra. Okay. By the way, do you know the difference between astra and sastra? Yeah, Madhav. Sastra is handheld, okay. Correct. Astra is something which is thrown. So, like you can have trishul, or you can have something like arrows and things like that. Sastra, on the other hand, is like a sword or a mace which you hold it in your hand and fight. So Yamaraj thought, let me just throw my astra and kill this Ravana who's making unnecessary noise. But at that time, Brahma appeared and told him that no, you are not supposed to kill him. He's supposed to be killed by Lord Ram. So he forgave. I mean, he didn't do anything and he left from that place. Ravana goes around saying that, I became victorious over Yamaraj. Nobody can conquer over me. And this is how the demoniac people in this world make propaganda that I am in control of things. I can do anything. False propaganda. I've got so much of power. I've got so much of contacts. I've got so much of money. I've got so much of this thing. And they feel puffed up. And they forget about the real goal of life, which is to overcome the cycle of birth and death. Interestingly, what did Lord Ram say when he met Ravana, which is there in this verse in Bhagavatam? Very interesting verse. He says, Evam kshipram dhanusi sandhitam utsarjya banam sa vajram ivatad dhardyam vibheda. No, I think this 22nd verse. Yeah. Ramastam aha. Aha is to speak. So Ramastam aha purushada purisha yannaha. Purushada purisha. Purushada means a man-eater. Purisha means stool of man-eater. Ramasatam aha purushada purisha yannaha. Kanta samaksham asata parhatas swabat te. Kanta samaksham, when I was not present, like a dog, when somebody is not there in the kitchen, it comes and steals something. Kanta samaksham, when I was not there, my wife was abducted by you. Asata is a rascal. Tyakta trapasya phalam. Tyakta trapasya, you are a shameless person. Phalam adya jugupsitasya. The despicable, condemnable work that you have done of stealing my wife. Yachami kala iva kartrur alanghya viryaha. Yachami kala. Now you see, I am standing before you as time and I'll devour you. Yachami kala iva kartrur alanghya viryaha. And I am the all-powerful. Alanghya viryaha is actually who never fails. So for all the people who are not God conscious, they meet the Lord in the form of death. And the death takes away everything. And we go through this cycle of birth and death repeatedly, again and again we go through this. And in this beautiful verse of Bhagavatam also it is mentioned who were the associates of Ravana. Their names are given. Their names are like Raksha Patistav Avalokya Nikumbha, Kumbha, Dhumraksha. Dhumraksha means smoky eyes, who's always intoxicated, his eyes are smoky. Durmukha, who has got, you watch any mafia movies? Do you watch, or if you watched, yeah. You'll have, somebody, they should be able to create fear in somebody, right? There's somebody who's called Scarface. Scarface means the face is so many times it has been in brutal fights and all. There are so many scars there, so it's a Scarface. or somebody like a one-eyed man, right? This one-eyed, or one tooth gone, something like that. I don't know. A blue beard person, or I don't know what are the other names. Something like that. So they should be able to create fear and terror in somebody. So these were the associates of Ravana: Nikumbha, Kumbha, Dhumraksha, Durmukha. Durmukha is a face which is distorted. Surantaka, who is a killer of suras, the demigods. Narantakam, who is killer of the human beings. Putram, Prahrashtam, Aitikya, Vikampa, who's creating trembling in somebody. All these were associates of Ravana, and they were all very trained, they were all very fierce, and they have fought. But the other side, they were monkeys who were not trained at all, and they were carrying some trees, boulders, or some stones and things like that, and they attacked. But very interestingly, Bhagavatam mentions that there is a difference between the army of Ravana and there is a difference between the army of Lord Rama, the monkeys. And the difference is Daiva and Purushatkara. These words are used. Daiva means actually they were completely dependent on Lord Ram. Completely. Whatever the result may be, whatever it happens, Daiva, they were completely dependent on Lord Ram. Whereas Purushatkara is someone who's trying to protect himself by his own abilities. They were the demons, or these demons. And the battle happened, and in the battle, ultimately, Lord Ram became victorious over Ravana. And it is mentioned like Ravana died like a person from heavenly planet, how he falls down when his pious credit comes to an end. Just like that, it comes to an end. And Lord Ram hit an arrow to the navel of Ravana, and Ravana died, and from his 10 mouths they were bleeding. And just like that, he is exhausted, finished. Point that I'm trying to say is, on this auspicious day of Ram Navami, the biggest forgetfulness that we have, or the highest victory that we should aspire for, is this forgetfulness of the repeated cycle of birth and death, which we go through time and again. We've been accepting bodies, and we've been going through this forever. Very nicely, succinctly, Prabhupada puts this in this verse called Sthitir Vaikuntha Vijaya. The word Vijaya, which I was asking at the beginning, Vijaya means victory. Sthitir Vaikuntha Vijaya, Poshanam Tad Anugraha. This is the right situation for the living entities, is to obey the laws of the Lord, and thus be in perfect peace of mind under the protection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The more and more we are ignorant and oblivious and callous to the laws of Lord, the more and more we think we are independent, we want to enjoy, the more we will be subjected to this kind of danger and subject to this kind of cycle of birth and death, which is very, very precarious. So the right situation for the living entities is to obey the laws of the Lord, and thus be in perfect peace of mind under the protection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We'll read this purport, and with this we will close and have few questions before we go for the Arati. The material world is created, maintained for some time, and again annihilated by the will of the Lord. The ingredients for creation and the subordinate creator Brahma are first created by Lord Vishnu in his first and second incarnations. The first Purusha incarnation is Mahavishnu. The second Purusha incarnation is Garbhodakashai Vishnu, from whom Brahma is created. The third Purusha avatara is, if you have anything to share, you can tell it to me. The third Purusha avatara is Kshirodakashai Vishnu, who lives as the super soul of everything in the universe and maintains the creation generated by Brahma. Shiva is one of the many sons of Brahma, and he annihilates the creation. Therefore, the original creator of the universe is Vishnu, and he is also the maintainer of the created beings by his causeless mercy. As such, here is the important point. As such, it is the duty of all conditioned souls to acknowledge the victory of the Lord and thus become pure devotees and live peacefully in this world where miseries and dangers are always in existence. So the choice really boils down to this thing, whether I become God conscious and surrender to the Lord when all my bodily parts are active and live peacefully, or I don't live like that with the army that I have got, this gross body made up of 5 elements, and the subtle body which is made up of mana, buddhi, ahankara, this army, I go around in this material world fighting my own battle and meet the Lord as death at the time of death. The choice is really with us. As such, it is the duty of all conditioned souls to acknowledge the victory of the Lord and thus become pure devotees and live peacefully in the world where miseries and dangers are always in existence. The conditioned souls who take this material creation as the place for satisfaction of the senses and thus are illusioned by the external energy of Vishnu remain again to be subjected to the laws of material nature, creation and destruction. So on this Vijayotsava day, on this auspicious day of Lord Ram's victory over Ravana, one thing we should just understand. I can't win over death. That is why it is called Mrityu Sarvaharas Chaham. There is no way. And in the process of experiencing that death, which is certain, I go through so many miseries, so many difficulties because of this one thing that I've forgotten, that I have to conquer over this cycle of birth and death. I'm completely forgetful that I have met death so many times in the form of the Lord in my previous lives. So at least in this life, when we've got little good fortune, when we've got this human form of life, we should pray for that victory, that I should not be put into that kind of a forgetfulness. And as I was mentioning at the beginning, Madhvacharya's appearance days today, from Madhvacharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taken two things, which is very important for us also in our lives. One thing that Madhvacharya emphasizes is the worship of the deities. The deities, when somebody doesn't know, it appears like a stone, metal, or wood, or something like that. But these are not stone, metal, or wood. These are not some replica. These are actually the Supreme Lord, because the Prana Pratishtha has been done to them. The Lord is present here, directly accessible to us. We can take advantage of that by engaging in His service. A. And B, the second important thing which Madhvacharya always talks about. When this Sankaracharya, when he came, he spoke about Dvaita. Really? No, he spoke about Advaita. Madhvacharya was so forceful, he always used to have even his fingers like this. Dvaita. That is soul and there is super soul. There is Jivatma and there is Paramatma. So always he's talked about this, the existence of the Lord as well as living entities. And that existence that we have, the living entities and the Lord, and the relationship that we have can be revived by just chanting the names of the Lord. These were the two principles which were taken by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from Madhvacharya. So on this auspicious day, if you don't remember anything, of course it is Lord Ram's victory over Ravana. If you remember that, countless lifetimes we have passed, countless lifetimes. And we have seen the Lord in the form of death in all these lifetimes. But in this lifetime, we have a choice. Instead of meeting the Lord at the time of death, we can choose to serve Him right now. As it is mentioned in this verse, it is mentioned that the right situation for the living entities is to obey the laws of the Lord and thus be in perfect peace of mind under the protection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So on this Vijayadasami, I would like each one of you to think, what is the victory that you want in life? As it is mentioned that, hearing this Ramacharitam, this Vedic literatures give us the path. They tell us when our body, mind, senses are acting, when it is in our control, let us engage it in Krishna's service, because ultimately nothing belongs to me. You go to somebody's house, they have offered you something, you get those things and you start behaving as if they all belong to you. No, this body is not mine. Senses are not mine. Intelligence is not mine. Even the mind is also not mine. So then what should I do? Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. I should use it in the service of that person to whom this belongs to. And that is the Supreme Lord. And when we do that, we will become free from all anxieties, miseries, and we will achieve the highest perfection in life. So we will stop 8:24. We will have few questions, okay, and then we will stop. You raise your hands. Who is the son of Dirghavahu? Okay, Chaitanya has raised. Okay, very good. Who is the son of Raghu? Aja. What was the question which Khatwanga Maharaj asked the demigods when they became victorious? What was the question Dasarath asked to Vishwamitra Muni? How are you progressing? All in chorus. What is that? One person? Okay. How is your progress in overcoming the cycle of birth and death? Punarjanma Jayaya. And that is what we should also be conscious of. How much time do we have? We don't know. How much efforts we are making to overcome, to become victorious over the cycle of birth and death, we don't pay attention. But this victory of Lord Ram over Ravana, Ravana is there inside all of us, which makes us forget the existence of the Lord, which makes us believe we are in control of things without anybody's help. But we are zero. We have got so much of misery, so many problems. We can overcome all that by just becoming God conscious. And in this Kali Yuga, it's very easy. If you all take up this one simple good habit, a vow of chanting the names of the Lord every single day, it has to be done because every day there is bombardment of demoniac thoughts, which is very difficult to counter. Very, very difficult. No matter whether you have astras or sastras, you can't counter attack. But if you chant the names of the Lord, it makes you immune. It gives you that armor with which you can face this, onslaught of demoniac thoughts very nicely. So we will chant 3 times and then we will have Arati. You can repeat after me. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Shri Ramachandra Vijayotsava Mahamahotsav ki,
Jai,
Srila Prabhupada ki,
Jai.
Nitai Gaur Premanande.